Hello. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Big blue. Don't have any big green. The shirt is ironic because I have neither luck nor charm. But here we go. This is a video I didn't expect to talk about some of the things I'm going to talk about here, but I am not Chris Webby, but some of these will be my raw faults. And I don't mean about Monday Night Raw, although there will be some faults about that. First of all, I watched a movie today. This telling today, I kind of split up into parts because I got tired. In the end, but I was very tired. Called Miami Connection, a movie from the year I was born. It's a very silly, kind of over the top movie. I don't think it was meant to be, but it's a martial arts movie from the 80s. I'm gonna read the description here. I got it right here on the screen. Fearless martial arts synth rock band Dragon Sounds embarks on a roundhouse wave of crime-crushing justice on Florida's drug-infested streets. Unlike today, well, there might still be drug-infested streets, but today when Florida is just run by a homophobic piece of fucking garbage who also killed a bunch of his citizens during COVID or something like that. I don't know how it deals with Ron DeSantis, but he fucking sucks. But that movie, I would recommend it if you're in for a little schlocky, fun, good, campy time. A 90-minute thrill ride that... I won't spoil everything, but the acting is bad, but it's hilariously bad. Like, one character is probably my favorite line in the movie is that one character says she's in love with a guy, and she does it with the delivery of somebody who's talking about their favorite Taco Bell entree, you know? So, and the fights are quite good. They're good fights, and the music is just great. They really only have 2 or 3 songs they use, but they use them well. And if you're into synth music, definitely you'll probably like that. It's just also I forgot to mention this in my Letterboxd review. I like that the cover of the movie, the thumbnail looks like a Nintendo cartridge, like an old school Nintendo cover. It's on Tubi if you want to watch it for free. That's my first raw fault. Now, next raw fault is that I was going to talk about something else here, but I'm going to talk about this because I saw it trending on the Twitter machine. See, I have not watched yesterday's Dynamite yet, the St. Patrick's Day Smash. I'm going to have to check my phone in a minute. Hold on just a sec. I'm back. For reference, don't know if you'll ever watch this video, but that was actually a message, Discord, and the Sanctuary of Solitude by Syndicate. The homie Syndicate. Syndicate. Oh, if you watch this, cool. And, I thought it was a message from my friend that I'm supposed to go hang out with in a bit. But anyway, he's working, so I was checking on that. Anyway, back to my point ahead. I have not watched the St. Patrick's Day Smash yet because I was mostly tired and I was trying to catch up on the previous week's Dynamite because I was pretty behind. But the main event was, spoiler alert here, Thunder Rosa winning a steel cage match against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, to become the AEW Women's World Champion. In a match that had thumbtacks and blood in it. Britt Baker bled. I think Thunder Rosa bled too. Now, the thing I'm seeing on Twitter a lot is people literally bitching about the fact that Britt Baker was bleeding or the women are bleeding, or the common stupid ass narrative of, oh, the women have to bleed to get over. Bitch, please. Britt Baker was already very fucking over, okay? Like, sorry, you can't put your head in that concept. If you watch AEW, you know this already. She gets great reactions every time she's out there. Every time she does anything, she gets great reactions, whether they're in Pittsburgh or not. Although in Pittsburgh, she gets fantastic reactions. You know. But even besides that, the fact of the matter is, blood adds to a feud. And it's not this weird little narrative that seemed to start like a couple months ago when WWE put out a press release where they were literally being little assholes making fun of AEW because saying they had gratuitous mutilation with their blood. It's like, you guys literally have not only had matches that are bloodbaths, like Triple H and Ric Flair, The Last Man Standing, which is a great match, by the way, which is a great match, but even one of my friends, when we watched the match, said he felt a little uncomfortable seeing that much blood. And he's not a guy that watches death matches, though, but, you know, he's a guy that I guess just wasn't used to seeing that. I didn't really mind, because I've seen, like, Sabu and Terry Funk Barbed Wire, and that was a very bloody match, you know. But, like, also, you have Stone Cold bleeding like a stuck pig, but he refuses to quit. The famous image of him like this. Oh, I think he's got to say that he's not reaching, but he's got the bloody face. You not only made a T-shirt of that, Stone Cold built a career off of that image and that storyline, that storytelling. And it's not like even PG era WWE has not booked stuff with blood. I don't mean people getting busted open hard way. I mean literally them booking Brock Lesnar to elbow Randy Orton in the damn face in the main event of SummerSlam when he actually injured him for real, gave him a concussion to the point that he couldn't even wrestle the next pay-per-view for the next month because W is so fucking stupid. They can't even book their own bloodshot right, basically. They did this in the PG era, but so you're going to sit here and tell me that was necessary for a feud that barely even had any real, like, personal issues? It was just literally, Randy Orton's fighting Brock Lesnar, and then Randy came and RKO Brock, and then Brock came and F5 Randy Orton. It's the most basic of basic feuds, but we're going to add blood to that. Meanwhile, not only was Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa a feud that has been building up now for some time, but you also have the fact it was 1 year to the day of their last match where Britt Baker lost the match but got over and Thunder Rosa won in the lights out match that was at St. Patrick's Day Slam, and Britt got bloody, and that's where she got the shirt of her covered in blood. Which also led to a great looking ringside collectibles action figure. But all this doesn't really matter. Like, if you don't like AEW, you don't like blood, that's fine. If you don't like Britt Baker or Thunder Rosa, that's fine. But don't come in here and try to say, the women gotta bleed it over. No, they're already over. They just want to bleed to add to the feud. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you've seen some matches with blood in it. And the people sharing images of say AEW bleeds too much, they don't really though. That's a stupid point too. This does kind of lead to my next point though, and that's about WWE and WrestleMania. And I gotta be honest here. I've seen a lot of Road to Mania. I've seen like 20 years of Road to WrestleManias. In my opinion, honestly, this is just me. I'm just going to shoot it straight with it. Raw fought here. I thought I've had it for a while. This is the worst Road to WrestleMania I think I've ever seen. Now, I will admit, I don't watch every Raw and SmackDown. Right now. I'm not. After Elimination Chamber, I did not want to even bother with this shit. I was just like, I wasn't even sad. I wasn't even mad. I was a little mad, but I was more just like, enough of this. I'm wary with Cary. Indeed, I was wary of this shit. I was wary. I was like, I just don't want anything to do with this because this stupid ass company only cares about two guys. And sorry to the women because the women are working their asses off. The women are doing fine for the most part. The women division of WWE is booked pretty damn well. It's done well enough. But the men's division is like they only give a fuck about Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. So why should I even give a fuck about watching 5 hours of weekly television, especially when I don't even care that much about either of those two wrestlers that much right now, or their fucking pointless feud that I've seen so many times. But even outside of that, like let's take Brock and Roman and the stupid double title match out of the equation here. This whole Road to WrestleMania, even going back to the Rumbles, felt so weird. Like they don't even know what the fuck they're doing. They're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And yeah, there's been bad Road to WrestleManias. People will probably point to the Triple H Roman Reigns one, but that one didn't feel that bad because most of that, at least a big chunk of that, was devoted to like the idea of Dean Ambrose Triple H feuding, where you had them building up to Roadblock. The Roadblock was so damn good that it pretty much overshadowed the Road to WrestleMania. And there was some dumb stuff there. Don't get me wrong, but for the most part, it was okay. This, though, is not okay. Let's take a look at some of the stuff we have here. You have the constant teases of Cody Rhodes. And like I said, I haven't been watching the shows, but I've seen enough footage of the shows to know what's going on. And first of all, let me point out some of the good stuff. I don't want to get all negative here. Edge and AJ Styles, in my opinion, have been doing great. The Edge heel turn. I don't kind of know why he turned heel, but whatever, Kind of a goofy reason to turn heel, but okay. This is going to be a great match. And I think it's a match everybody wants, including me. And I'm still going to watch WrestleMania. So maybe you could call me a hypocrite, call me I don't know, two-faced, some shit, but whatever. I want to see WrestleMania. I kind of want to see how it's going to turn out, for one thing. But also, even though I don't have interest in some of these matches, I'm curious. As a wrestling fan, I'll watch matches sometimes on a show I'm not interested in just to see how they turn out. Maybe they put out a great show. But anyway, Edge and AJ has been great. Becky and Bianca haven't paid as much attention to the feud, but I do like the idea of it being at Mania. But I feel like, I feel like they should have done the dumbass SummerSlam bullshit. A result that I'm pretty sure made like Deadlock to stop giving a shit about WWE because they haven't really talked about it much different than Royal Rumble themselves because they talked about how dumb a decision that was because that was just really bad booking in my opinion to make Becky squash her that easily. and then for W to book it a month later with a stupid DQ finish, to book it in the triple threat of Saudi, which was a great match, and then to book it on Raw with Becky, and Becky beat Bianca, even though she cheated, she got the ropes, but still, you should have not booked, in my opinion, that shouldn't have been booked. You should have booked a road to redemption for Bianca. And I think part of the problem I had is I haven't watched the recent promos of those two. So, and I do like the little idea of her whipping her with the hair and Becky attacking her on Raw. And I think they should make it a hair for their match would be interesting to make it, because that would be a cool little storyline after that. But I think it was one of the dumb things that what I've seen from the feud, at least after SummerSlam, was Becky basically going, I beat Bianca Belair. I did. What's the problem here? Why you people booing me? Basically, because I'm the best women's wrestler, and she's right. Like, why would you boo her for doing what essentially a wrestler should do? And Bianca's just like, oh no, you got me for me when I wasn't ready, which is also true. But instead of her, like one time that works, and then after that it feels like a whiny baby face, and that's not who Bianca Belair is. I feel like they should have did is just had her after, especially if you're gonna book that loss on Raw, you should have had her the next week come out and say that she feels like she's let herself down, and she's been here before. She's been on this road, but she's not going to give up. And she's the EST of WWE. She's going to get better, but she needs to fight back. And then I would have her start saying how she needs to start getting to the top again. And she sees her goal, even though it would have been in 2021. She wants to win the Royal Rumble in 2022 to be the first woman to do it back to back. Like, start promoting that, even if she's not going to win. Build it up. So even if she loses, then you could also have her say, well, okay, I lost. That's a setback. But I'm going to win the chamber. And she wins the chamber. In my opinion, that works more like a road to redemption. Because from what I see, you basically had her just kind of act like none of this matters. These losses don't affect her, and they were just flukes. And I feel like that does a disservice to the feud, and to Bianca's character, and to Becky. If the fluke win doesn't matter, then why should we care about Becky, is my point. And what Bianca doesn't mean, it just sounds like she's whining and making up excuses, where if she admitted, okay, I lost, you got me twice, but I'm going to get you the first time. And that would be a thing, too. I'd never say something like, you got me once, you got me twice, okay? But this time, I'm ready for you. I'm ready for all your tactics. I'm coming for you, Becky. And this time, you ain't going to be ready. You've been sitting far too comfy on your little throne. I'm about to knock you off there. I'm about to knock you back down to reality or something like that. Bianca can say it better than I ever could. I can't tell her to say she's great at promos. But I just think that aspect is kind of dumb. But I do think the feud's been good. I don't really care about Charlotte and Ronda. But I understand the appeal of the match. I get it, okay? It's the first time ever match. There's history. And what else do we have here? I'm having a hard time even remembering. I don't necessarily, even as a big fan of Jackass, I don't really want to see Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville, but it's time for an Intercontinental title. Fair enough, so that's good. Ricochet better have a match made up for the title. But, and what else we got on the card? I'm going to have to look at the Mania card. I can't even think of the card. That's what I partially mean. Like, it just feels so weird. And alright, let's go down the road here. First of all, the big one of the Pat McAfee and Austin Theory. I want to point out that I think this will be a great match. But the storyline is very fucking weird. He had Vince McMahon go on Pat McAfee's show and basically lie his ass off in certain parts and just be a general cunt for parts of it. Sometimes it was, don't get me wrong, it was entertaining. I haven't heard the whole thing. I want to hear clips, but I don't know if I want to spend the 90 minutes hearing Vince McMahon basically suck his own dick for parts of it, and other parts just sit here and talk about how, oh, well, giving the Saudis a show is a good thing, and then the same day you take away Russians' access to the network because apparently Russia's worse than Saudi Arabia, even though they're both pretty fucked up. Yeah, I don't want to get into that, but point is, this should have been an easy layup to set up this feud. What they should have had Pat do is just go say a question that you could approve that would be kind of off balance. Like something simple like, do you think that the fans have accurate criticism of you, saying that you seem to have lost your touch? You're kind of getting, not saying you're an old man or you're senile or anything, but maybe like you kind of lost your way just a little bit. Maybe you shouldn't be in charge anymore. Then have Vince like get up, get pissed off, like yell at Pat and leave, and cuss him out or something like Adam Cole did, or you have him slap him in the face. Because I think Pat would be willing to take a slap in the face of a WrestleMania feud, and you could sell it. And then you could have Austin Theory come in because Pat McAfee could say something like, well, the only reason I didn't attack Vince McMahon is because I have respect for him and he's an older gentleman and I don't want to assault him. And also, even though he's my boss, like 3 reasons. Have Austin Theory come out and go, no, it's because you're just a little coward. How dare you come up to Vince like that and try to insult him, you little son of a bitch, something. And he slaps Austin Theory. And there you go. But instead, we had this thing where, yeah, he did slap balls Fury. I know on SmackDown he came out and he called him out or something. But it's really weird where Vince offered him a match at Mania, and he's like, well, who would I wrestle? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, okay, you have a match at Mania. And it's like... Also, if you're giving Pat McAfee a match at WrestleMania, you literally have Pete Dunne, the guy that was on his team. Are we just supposed to forget the Undisputed Era now that 3 of them are in AEW? Are we just going to go, oh, that never happened? He had a whole ass team, guys. You could make Pete get in. That would be a fun match. There's a story there. You could even have Pete come and say, like, you abandoned me in NXT, left me to the Wolves, and that's when my career started going down the toilet. And also you could come out here and dance Shinsuke Nakamura's theme or something. Something like that. And you could have Pat say something like, no, I left you because I was injured, but also I knew you'd make it, but clearly I was wrong because all you've done for the last year and a half is basically become a bigger loser or something like that. Well, a big loser. And you could have him reference history. Because why not do that instead of throw Pete Dunne in a random, what was going to be a 6-man tag, I'm assuming. But okay, that match is fine. I don't have a problem with the match. I just feel like the build-up was stupid. Kind of similar to Becky and Bianca, but that more so in this one, because that one at least was built okay for the most part, just some of the promos. And I'm talking about the promos last year, so maybe it's not the best example. Okay. But, okay, so Sammy and Knoxville, Priest and Finn should be a good match. I'm assuming, they haven't made it official, but I'm assuming it's happening. Hopefully we get the Demon, because there's a lot of reason to bring it back there. There's history, there's a feud. Well, let me check something. Okay. Well, anyway. So let's talk about the bigger bugaboos. Logan Paul has a match at WrestleMania. Oh, wow. Now, yeah, he's so famous. He's a celebrity. But if you had to get a celebrity, why couldn't you get someone like Bad Bunny last year? A guy who did fantastic in his role. And also, Miz and Logan Paul versus Rey and Dominic is got to be the most bizarre-ass feud you could possibly fucking make. You mean to tell me this company had John Morrison and Miz? You fired Morrison. You could have given us Morrison. You even could have made him, rehire him. Fix your fucking mistake. Correct yourself, if you will. Hire him again. Have him be Miz's partner in Mania. Have them win against the Mysterios, and then have Morrison turn on Miz this time because they've literally done the same exact storyline a decade later instead of doing it different at all. And have him turn him, hit a Moonlight Drive, and start a feud between those two for a little bit. Because why the hell not? That's a lot better than making the motherfucking Logan Paul. I don't even know much about Logan Paul. I know I don't like it. I don't hate the dude, but it's just such a stupid idea. And such a ass way to, oh, well, celebrities have always been at WrestleMania. Yeah, but the celebrities usually were, either they might have been in matches, but there was a storyline reason for those matches. There's usually like one celebrity per Mania. You have 2 now, and both of them are kind of weird because Knoxville's movie's been out for months and it's doing well, but like, in addition to the fact that it's very weird to use WWE in the PG era to promote Jackass, because those two things do not correlate. Like, I saw Jackass Forever in theaters recently. Yeah, I don't think you want your young audience that you're promoting to, assuming you're still PG, right? I don't think you want the ones that you're like trying to sell this stuff to go watch a movie where a dude literally has his dick dressed up like Godzilla at one point and is attacking a city and his balls are close up on the camera. Like, what, Jackass is awesome, but I don't think that's what you're going for. It reminds me of like a decade ago when you had Snooki at Mania. And like, well, what are you promoting here? I get she's here to get the rating, to get the buys for you, which it did happen. It did work. But like, aside from the fact that Snooki should not have been in a wrestling career. Oh, Snooki sucks. The Jersey Shore sucks. But you're promoting a show that at that time they were very PG, more than them now, that is not PG at all. It's literally talking about like wieners and fucking and shit. And drinking and fucking and all this other crap. Like, what do you promote this? See the correlation here? It doesn't make any sense. It's like doing 2 different things and expect the result. And, but what are you going to do? I guess, Sammy, Zayn, and Knoxville, to their credit, are doing a great job promoting this food. Sammy doing the leaked phone number bit and answering calls. Sami Zayn's fantastic. And I'm happy he's having fun. No hate on the dude. He said he's having the time of his life right now. I'm glad he got an IC title rating, even though it was short. So let's see what the rest of this card is, where it's going to get weird, because really the big issue here to me, more so than just having one world title match and kind of handicapping your men to only going to have a match on night 1 for a world title for the men. It's kind of fucked up. And the tag division, not much to say, because RK Bro and the Street Profits and Alpha Academy are literally the same three teams that have been like the only teams for last year in WWE and Raw. I've watched enough Raw to say that. Okay, so it's just weird. Like you didn't have some other plan in mind. Like why not? Why would it have been wrong with having Kevin Owens and Seth, a new team at least in like in that match at least to make the dynamic different. But no, and we could have still had if we're doing Randy Orton versus Matt Riddle. I don't know if we're still doing that. But it's kind of amazing they've been a team a year. So if you don't want to break them, that's fine. They work well together. Randy gets to rest his body and he'll. And Matt and him have a really fun dynamic. I'll say as a guy who a lot of people shit on them as a team, I do find them really entertaining. They have a lot of fun in the segments together. But me, it's just kind of symbiotic of how weird it is at WWE 2K22 2022. You don't have enough teams because you keep firing teams. And you basically have the same three teams that have been rolling around the tag titles for a year. Maybe not a year because Street Profits were on SmackDown. So let me clarify. I should probably say like 6 months. 6 months were accurate. But, it feels like a year, but it's 6 months. Because Raw's 3 hours long, so it automatically feels double long. But anyway, that match would probably slap, though. To be honest, that match would probably be fantastic. I don't know what Ricochet's doing. Hopefully I was hoping they were going to make a ladder match. They probably could still make a singles ladder match, in honor of Razor Ramon and Scott Hall, Chico. And rest in peace, Scott Hall, man. But, I don't know if we're getting that. I think they could make Sheamus versus Ricochet be a fun little match. Pete Dunne versus Ricochet, maybe? I don't know. Oh, so the other big thing is like, there's the biggest issue here to me is the whole Stone Cold thing. Because going back to November when the tickets went on sale, they had Stone Cold in the promos promoting how it was good. You should go to buy a ticket to Mania. It was like, why? Because Stone Cold said so. Cause Stone Cold say so. And one day after 316. Here I am ranting about this. It's so weird because we had this thing where Kevin Owens just spent weeks and weeks of talking bad about Texas and fuck Texas. He's right. At least we're talking about the government in Texas. Yeah, fuck the government. The government sucks. You got these transphobic shitheads, these people who literally let their own people freeze to death while they went to Cancun and shit, and all kinds of others still cutting people's money down and stuff like that. Taxes increase it always, but the minimum wage stays the same, just like every state pretty much, but still fucked up. So Kevin isn't even the heel here, in my opinion. If you start talking about Texas people, yeah, maybe then he's the heel. Some people, obviously, but not every person, obviously. But this is all supposed to lead to Stone Cold presumably having some kind of match with him. Instead, we get this weird thing where they lose the tag titles in the opening of Raw, and what I understand was a great match. I didn't watch, but I hear it's a really great match. And I'll take the word for it, because it does sound pretty good from what I've heard. In the main event, he's literally out here I found the road to Mania. I'm going to have the KO show with Stone Cold, Steve Austin. And it's and he's saying it's going to be the main event of night one, which I guess it technically could be the main event. Because he could have a match to the main and have that as the main. I don't know. But, honestly, what is going to happen here? First of all, I don't even understand what KO is going to ask him. Does Texas suck? I understand maybe why Stone Cold don't want to do a match. But WWE was, and as much as people try to say, oh, well, WWE... they were promised a match. Well, let me make this clear. With the way it was being built up, with Stone Cold and the promo packages, and with Kevin Owens constantly talking bad about Texas, they were at least teasing a match. In the same way that Darby Allin saying he's going to prove to everybody why he's the best in the world was teasing CM Punk coming to Chicago. And there were several other teases, I think it was Kenny Omega was wearing there's some Kenny Omega reference there around that time too. So it's hard to remember because it was a few months ago, but and make no mistake, there's a lot of people who have CM Punk didn't show up in Chicago on that Rampage, the first dance. They would be very much vocal on Twitter about how AEW didn't deliver on something they promised, even though they never officially promised. So, keep that in mind. This is about WWE. So, even, they were promised a match, okay? Fair enough. But they sure as fuck teased it. And this whole setup is just so stupid, because what is the outcome here? Is Stone Cold just going to stun KO after being questioned a little bit and then drink some beers? And it's going to get a pop. Because of course it is. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. But what's special about it? He's done this so many times. What is the big deal? This doesn't help KO, really. I guess he gets a good Mania paycheck and he gets to talk to one of the wrestlers he likes. But okay, what would be more if Kevin Owens stunned him and there was no follow-up? It was just him. And even if people boo that shit, that's something unique. Because Stone Cold hasn't really taken a move since he retired in 20 years. So if you have that, okay, but then to complicate things even further of how ridiculous this thing is, you had a Raw where Seth and Kevin were fighting to see who would actually host a talk show to Stone Cold on last Raw. We've gone, in my lifetime no less, from wrestlers fighting for a title match at Mania. Let's go back to a few years, not even a decade ago. CM Punk and John Cena having a classic match to see who fights The Rock at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship in the main event. 2, Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins having a match to see who's going to interview Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't think there's a better description of how down atrocious WWE is than that in 2022. It's really stupid. Also, it doesn't even make sense because Seth wasn't needling the bear, poking the bear. He wasn't talking about Texas or whatever. This whole thing was built up so Kevin Owens, if you're not going to have a match, you're going to have some kind of segment. And I got to ask, why, maybe because Stone Cold would agree to it, but it feels like you could have had a tag match with Stone Cold as a partner. Build a guy up, too, that would be teaming with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Against Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Especially if let's say here, if Stone Cold only agrees to do a stunner. There you go. Stunner. Or even 2 stunners. Stunner, Kevin, Cutter, Seth. And then he either pins the guy or let the other person pin the guy, so I get a young guy over. See what I'm saying? Like, it's so bizarre. So it sets up also what Seth Rollins going to be doing at Mania. Does he even have a match at Mania? It's really weird if he doesn't have a match at WrestleMania. And Logan Paul and Johnny Knoxville have matches at WrestleMania. And Pat McAfee, no disrespect to either of those guys, but like, come on. 2 are celebrities and 1 is a commentator currently, who's had 2 great matches, but is a commentator. It has no real association in ring for well over a year. I mean, also the people who are going to say something about AEW, they had Shaq. Okay, Shaq was in a tag match on TV that opened the show. And Snoop Dogg didn't even have an actual match because I'm Super, but whatever on that. I just want to put a pin in it. It's just a really weird situation. That's why I just don't feel this WrestleMania road. I feel like this is just the worst road to WrestleMania they've done probably ever. I mean, probably the first few probably weren't promoted that well, to be honest, but I wasn't alive for those, and I don't think I can go back and watch every show to check how they were. But in my lifetime, it's the worst road that I've seen. And I say that fully, honestly, truly. Not for any reason other than the fact that I just don't feel it. Now, I do think WrestleMania could knock it out of the park. I think this could be a great show. I even think Roman and Brock could be fantastic. But I do think they need a stipulation, like Last Man Standing, First Blood, because they keep bleeding. Speaking of blood again, they literally just bled on a live main event house show. But yeah, blood bad when AEW does it, blood good when WWE does it, but whatever the fuck. Anyway, someone's going to use that clip out of context and make fun of me on Twitter. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead, I don't give a shit. Anyway, yeah, that or Hell in a Cell. First Blood, Hell in a Cell, Last Man Standing. That's what I think Roman and Brock should have. The point is, it could be a great WrestleMania. In fact, one thing WWE does that's really weird is that when they plan something out, sometimes has a history of being bad. But when they kind of have to rush things or they kind of don't plan, they have a history of putting out some great stuff. Like a few years ago, there was a pay-per-view 1 week after SummerSlam during the pandemic, and it was like a fantastic pay-per-view. Everybody raved about the pay-per-view. That pay-per-view was fun. It was great. Had some cool moments. I think it was called Payback. So that was an example right there of them having to kind of deal with things. Or what was another thing? When they had the horrible situation of Vince McMahon taking a tape from the Saudi Prince and the wrestlers on a tarmac on a plane because he was trying to hold them hostage, literally, which is fucked up. We know that because of legal documents. But it led to a great SmackDown where NXT invaded, leading to Adam Cole versus Daniel Bryan. A great main event match. Fantastic. And a match that AEW definitely should make one day. Possibly by making it double nothing. Who knows? But that's what I mean. WWE, when they are put in the corner, does have a history of putting on some really good shows. Some great shows. Some amazing shows. And this WrestleMania could be great. And I do think that at the very least, it's going to be a good show. Unless Roman and Brock phone it in like they did, they have a match as bad as they did back at Crown Jewel in October, then I don't think that even that match is going to be bad. So I do want to see how this is going to turn out. But that's just my thoughts on the whole thing, my raw thoughts, if you will. Watch Miami Connection if you want. It's really fun. You probably enjoy it for 90 minutes. And I'm probably going to watch that Dynamite match later, if not the whole Dynamite. And I am looking forward to it, man. It's like, I'm definitely excited and feeling it, but hopefully they pick up, maybe they find a way to make it more interesting in the next 2 weeks. It's still like 2 weeks, but anyway. That's about all I got to say. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Have a great day. Peace.